My dudes, this is your boy, Adam Ward. And joining me this week is a writer, director, and performer, Josephine Sherlock. Jo has had a long and varied career in theatre and TV, with her play What Are You Wearing winning Best Production at last year's Liverpool Fringe. In this episode, we talk Edinburgh, odd jobs, burning the candle at both ends, and car crashes. So without further ado, this is episode 4 of Your Boy Cancelled, Your Boy's Bristly.
You don't want like an interesting fact about myself, do you? Like when you're in a group audition.
No, that's fine. We'll get into all that.
I have an interesting fact. I don't.
We'll get into that in the episode once we're rocking and rolling.
No interesting fact. Hi, this is Josephine Sherlock, and you're listening to Your Boy Cancelled with Adam Ward.
Hello, this is Adam Ward. You're listening to YBC. Thank you very much for joining me. And joining me this week is a playwright, director, and performer, Josephine Sherlock. How's it going, man?
Hi, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Just trying not to be too hot.
Sweaty.
Yeah. I was saying before, I've got a sheen of just grease over me from this weather. I'm like a suckling pig.
I think it's just who I am now.
Yeah, just hot, just constantly warm.
Just like, did you ever watch Alex Mack?
No, I don't think so.
A niche reference. It was a program circa like Erie, Indiana, like T4 program, and she was her name was Alex Mack, and she used to, I can't remember what provoked it or why or what the point of it was, but she used to turn into liquid, and she'd turn into a puddle, and she'd like just creep under doorways.
Was it on Nickelodeon?
I don't know.
I think I did watch that.
I can't think of a single reason why she did it or what she achieved. But
yeah, what was the theme of that show? She could turn into goo.
She turned into liquid and like slid under doorways and then just reformed.
No, that definitely rings a bell. She was just goo girl.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the meaning of that was.
That's what I feel like I'm going to turn into.
So this is Your Boy Cancelled. Jo Sherlock, what are you cancelling?
Well, I don't know if I told you that I got a new job recently. Well, as per pandemic, I lost 5 jobs when it first happened, and none of them seem to be coming back anytime soon. So I've got a new job working in a florist. Oh
no, you did tell me this.
Yeah, so I've been working in a florist, so I do little bits in there, but mainly I'm out doing the deliveries. So my cancellations are delivery themed. Probably not many people will have experienced it, but you know what's really fucking me off? I forgot to ask, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, swear as much as you want.
Fucking great. What's really pissing me off is, do you know them like bristles on the inside of your letterbox?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're not in, if I can't deliver the flowers, I've left them with a neighbour, I've got to put a little card through, and nothing gets through with those fucking little bristles in the way. If you could see from the other side of the door, you just see my little fingertip struggling to keep this piece of card straight, and it takes me about 5 minutes just to get it through. I don't know what they're for, but please get rid of them.
Yeah, also, I'm not entirely sure what they're for. Is it like a sort of break-in, stopping people breaking in method? Like, so if someone tried to like,
what it works.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking if someone tries to like hook their hand in through your letterbox to grab the handle, they can't do it with the bristles. Do you think that might be the reason?
Well, I don't know, but if that were the case, it certainly would work. If I was trying to rob someone by sticking my hand through the letterbox, I'd be stuck there forevermore.
So damn bristly.
You couldn't deny it. You'd be caught red-handed.
If you do know this and you're listening to YBC, could you send us a message on social media and say, why those bristly things there?
Maybe they're like draft excluders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I bet that probably is it.
How much draft are you getting through your letterbox? Certainly not getting any letters through. Tell you that for free. Also, nobody's doorbell works. No one's. People don't have numbers on the door. It's very confusing.
You know, at my old place in the Cotswolds, I was like a 2nd or 3rd floor flat, and I just didn't have any doorbell or anything. If a parcel was coming, I'd have no idea unless they went to the person who was on the bottom floor. Otherwise, I'd have no idea.
I don't know what people expect you to do. Yodel from the doorway.
When I ordered stuff, I'd always put a message on there saying, "Could you ring this phone number because I don't have a doorbell?"
Yeah, I mean that'd be helpful.
Yeah, but it's
stressing me out like way more than a lack of a number on a door should.
Without a doubt, I am cancelling beautiful yet uncomfortable shoes.
Okay.
Because I've got some
experience.
Yes, well, see, I've got these suede beige loafers. Yeah, and they're very nice, but they're just a little bit uncomfortable. And I feel like suede, the best time to wear suede is summertime when it's like hot and dry.
Okay.
But they kind of rip the old boy's feet apart. But they look nice, and you know that thing of being like, but I need to wear them with this ensemble because it works.
Like, yeah, is it worth the pain?
I think so, because the thing is, they don't do it the whole time. I would say about sort of the 3-4 hour mark. That's when they start to get a bit irritating.
Just remind you that you're there.
Without a doubt. Like, I'd say in terms of like a biblical reference, they're kind of like the apple from the forbidden tree. In that I know I shouldn't wear them because they hurt my feet, but they're damn delicious.
What a fantastic version of the Bible that would be.
Yeah, I should do a rewrite.
And he said unto Adam, do not put on the suede shoes. And he did.
Do not put on the suede loafers.
What do you think of these, Eve?
Or you will have uncomfortable feet forevermore.
Take them off. No, I look sassy.
How has this COVID period been for you?
To be honest, it started off, I don't know, it was all a bit confusing in the beginning, I think. But like I said, I lost 5 jobs kind of instantly because obviously like performing and stuff, but also the production company that I work for, none of their shows were going ahead. The Easter show got cancelled. I was supposed to be going on an Easter tour. That got cancelled. And then obviously because we still haven't got any idea when shows are allowed to be on. I can't do any of the promotional work that I would do for or the marketing that I would do for the company. I was also working for a medical role play company, which involves sitting in a room and like role playing a medical scenario for student doctors who are doing exams, and that would involve like sitting in front of 25 different students a day, and all of these students then go off into wards, which I was actually doing right up until lockdown was announced. So of anywhere to be, you don't want to be sat in a room with people who are coming into that much contact with patients, and obviously for them as well, it's dangerous to be around us. So that got cancelled with no sign of coming back anytime soon. I hadn't like quarantined or anything, so the warehouse job that I was working in, I did end up going back to that, but I couldn't do that for a little while, and Hollyoaks stopped filming, and that was where I was literally there while lockdown was announced, and we were all sat there like, why we're here. But then it got cancelled, and then they've only just, I think, started refilming because they've run out of episodes to air.
Yeah, I was going to say coming back.
Yeah, but they won't have backgrounds in. So I think for a lot of the stuff, they've actually written COVID into the storyline because obviously they've got to still socially distance on set. So what they've done is they've written it in as part of the scene. So you'll see people distancing, and then it won't kind of look as weird. But I don't think they're going to be using any backgrounds. It'll just be the main artist.
Well, Hollyoaks, I read some soaps were doing this where some of the older actors weren't going to be in it because they were more at risk. I mean, that's something I read a little while ago. Is that?
I don't know, quite possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched Hollyoaks. There's not many of the older actors, but there's a couple.
No, yeah. Because I know sort of with like Coronation Street and EastEnders, there's a lot more.
Yeah. So yeah, literally everything disappeared, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And then I kind of got all right with it. It was actually really nice to not have the pressure of needing to find your next show or needing to justify your place in the creative world. Do you know what I mean? It gets stressful, doesn't it? Like constant the next thing. So with none of that possible, I actually took it as a little break. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of all right with it at the moment.
I think there's a lot of sort of burning the candle at both ends, isn't there? When you're trying to do different projects, and it's always that thing of as soon as one project finishes, you need to make sure you have another one on the go, all ready to go.
Yeah.
I think you don't kind of realize how much you burn yourself out by doing that.
No, I didn't. And then you explain it to other people, and they go, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
So I was talking recently about what it's like the constant circle of as soon as you get a job, it's only ever temporary. So it's like you're constantly on a temporary contract, and then it ends, and you've got to find something else, and your next thing isn't always lined up for you. So it's just like a vicious circle of trying to keep active, and it's really hard. So I don't know. I've just quite enjoyed not having that pressure, just because it's not been an option at all. So it took a little while to be like, oh God, what am I supposed to do? And you feel like you've got no place for a little while. But I kind of got past that and took it as like a break. And
you do put a lot of pressure on yourself, don't you? In terms of, I mean, I especially do with writing. I don't know if you're the same with writing, but where you put all this time into a project, and the second it's over, you think, I need to have the next thing ready to go right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, a lot of the time it's because other people are like, what are you doing next? What are you doing next?
Yeah.
Which is like, I know people just want to know what you're up to, but I constantly feel, I don't know if you feel the same, but I always feel like I've got to justify what I'm doing and be like, no, I'm still doing this, I'm still doing this, I've got this. Not only am I doing this, I'm doing this.
Yeah, like for me, I kind of always feel like as soon as I finish doing a project or I'm having a break from something, I feel like I always have to justify it by saying, I'm in the middle of writing this thing, and this thing is being written, so this will be my next thing once it's ready to go. But at the moment, if I'm not writing something else, I'll still find myself saying that because I have the idea in my head.
Yeah, I've always got an idea.
Yeah,
the idea is always there, whether it's in production or not.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this is the next thing I'm going to do. I've not written a page of it, but it's
it's coming. It's right up here. But I was trying to explain this the other day, and I was saying that because people ask what you do, and when you explain it, and if you're not doing something to do with writing or creativity or performing or anything at that time, I feel like the audacity of me going around saying that's what I do when I'm not actually doing it at the moment.
Yeah, completely.
So I feel like I don't deserve to say that unless I'm involved in a project.
There is the thing of sort of feeling like a phony if you're not working on a project that exact second.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're just a lazy pig. You're not doing a single thing.
Yeah. Because I've said this before, I think ours is the only profession where you just instantly expected to prove that that's what you do. Oh yeah, what you doing? Can you sing? Yeah, do me a song now.
Yeah.
Like, does that happen in any other job?
Well, if I say to someone, I'm a comedy writer, the amount of times that people will say, oh, well, tell me a joke.
Oh, a joke now.
I don't have one in the back pocket just for this very occasion, although I should the amount of times I'm asked. Putting that all aside, you come from quite a theatrical, performance-based family. When was the moment you decided or thought you wanted to be a performer or an actor?
Like you said, I've always kind of grown up going to the theatre and seeing like family and stuff in productions and being part of the, not sort of the production team, but I'd always know somebody who we were going with. So like I would never just be an audience member. It always felt like I was part of the, not like, what do I mean? I don't mean like part of the group. I just mean, do you know when you know everybody?
Yeah.
And you feel like you're kind of, I'm not even trying to say like VIP, but do you know what I mean? Like you always feel like you're more part of the production. Like you go into the Aussies, like, no, I know the writer. Like I've sort of had that since I was very first started going to the theatre when we were little. So I've always sort of felt like part of it. But when I was little, I was really, really shy and I hated it. Like I couldn't speak to anyone. Like I used to hide behind my mum, I remember. And I just hated it. And I was trying to find ways to not do that. And I found myself being really jealous of performers, people that were on stage because they had that confidence. And I think it was from watching one of my uncle's shows. It was called The Weather People. I don't even know what year it was. It was like I would have been, I don't know, less than 10. I remember seeing our Jane like singing and stuff, but she played one of the main characters. I remember just sitting there thinking, I really want to do that. I know I can do that. And at the time, I absolutely couldn't. I'd never even tried. But I just always kind of dead jealous. I just wanted to be that person on the stage. And I don't really know. I gradually sort of came out of my shell a bit and was able to talk to people. And then one thing led to another. I didn't actually do drama or anything. I didn't do anything until I went to my uni audition. I didn't do it in school. Oh, really? Or like school or anything, literally nothing, until I took a gap year after I finished sixth form, and then I just went and auditioned for musical theatre school and got in, and I was like, Mum, I'm going to London, and she was like, oh my God, didn't even know you'd applied. And then off I went.
That's so interesting, because I'd always just presumed you would always have been a performer.
No, never. Yeah.
You had sort of singing and dance lessons and things like that, or?
I'd done singing because I chose music for my GCSE. What do we do? What's the last thing you do? A-levels? GCSE, both of them. So I chose music, but I didn't play an instrument, but you could have your voice as an instrument, so I sang. So I'd kind of done singing performances, but only a couple. I was in the choir in year 6. That was it. That's the most I'd done.
What would you say is the best and worst thing about being a performer and being in theatre?
The best thing about the actual process is going to the auditions is actually the worst. The rehearsal process and seeing it happen and come to life, and like getting to know your little family that's who it's going to be for the next however long the run is. That's my favourite part about when we actually do productions. And when sometimes you're with like quite a generous director who lets you bring your own input to the characters and to the story, and when you really see a change and it gets dead exciting, and then you really feel like you've contributed. Then it doesn't always happen, because sometimes your director's very like, no, this is what it says, this is what it needs.
Yeah.
be. But like Long John Silver was an amazing process because we were also free to bring what we wanted, and people would have to say yes or no, or it just came together really nicely, and that's an amazing process to then see it. And then when you actually do it, I guess the best thing is when the audience actually like it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Because sometimes they don't.
I'm kind of the same. I remember I had one audition that I went to that they just said you had sort of 5 minutes to do whatever you wanted, and they just said like which character you want to audition for, and they'd give you 4 things you need to include, and other than that you have sort of 3 to 5 minutes to do whatever you want as long as you include those 4 things. And I love that kind of style where you can just go and do whatever. Yeah, I think there's definitely more of a nervousness to that because this particular audition, I think I was the last person they were seeing that day, and the casting director said to me, just so you know, one of my really good friends just auditioned for this part and he was great. He absolutely smashed it.
But before the audition?
This is before I was going in, as he was walking in.
Way.
Yeah, literally. And then he goes, is it funny what you're doing? And I went, yeah, I guess. He was like, oh, that's good. They'll like funny. I was like, what if it's not funny? And I walk into
you might as well have come out and gone, don't bother.
Yeah, that's basically what he was saying.
He was
saying, I want my friend to do this and not you. So get out of here. And I walk into this tiny room that's got one long couch. The room is about the size of the room I'm in now. So it's very small. There's a long couch that goes all the way along one wall that's got 3 people sat on it. There's another person sat on a chair, and he comes and sits on a different chair. And I'm kind of stood there with my guitar in front of all of them. And I remember just thinking, this is going to be, if they don't find this funny, this is going to be a long 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
But thankfully they liked it and I got the part.
Did you?
Yeah.
Over the friend?
Over the friend, yeah. But funnily, it was for this 9-month run of this play in York, and it was the same week I had an interview to go teach in the Cotswolds, and I got the teaching gig. So I did that instead. I chose a teaching gig over the play. But I do sometimes wonder what it would have been like had I chose to do the play rather than the teaching gig. And also, after 9 months, it would have been back in the rat race of I don't really know what I'm doing again now.
Yeah.
Whereas the teaching job was permanent. I do think about stuff like that a lot. Like, what would it be like had I chose this other thing instead of the choice I did make?
You're bored. Cancel.
Something that really interests me is the idea of success and appreciating the successes you have. So you've done a lot of cool things, like you've done a lot of pantos, you did the old Paw Patrol tour, your play got best production at Liverpool Fringe. Do you kind of soak any of that stuff in? Or
no, never.
Do you
I remember because I had a production company called Make Believe Productions at the time, and it was with one of my friends, Josh, and we'd written and produced a musical and toured it, and we toured it, I think it was either 10 or 12, I think it was 10 venues around the UK. And I remember maybe it was on the 6th venue in the 3rd year, and I turned to Josh and I was like, Josh, we wrote that, He was like, I know. And I was like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And we just hadn't really realised. I think it's because there was so much going on, and we were literally in charge of everything. So I was in it and we were directing it, we wrote it, we built the set in our living room at the time. I think there was just so much going on at the time that we never really took it in. And I don't really, I'll tell people about it and people are like, wow, that's amazing. And I'm like, not that I don't appreciate that it's happened. It's just, I don't know, I guess maybe it's because I'm not done yet. I don't feel like I'm finished.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just not time for me to look back and appreciate the things I've done yet, because I'm always thinking about the next thing.
Yeah.
I think, like we were saying before, there's so much pressure to constantly be involved and constantly be active and always have something in the pipeline, that there isn't ever really time to appreciate what you've already done. It's never enough. I think that's kind of the case of being a performer or a creative.
Because I feel completely the same. I think for me, it's that thing of feeling like I've got something that stands the test of time. Do you know what I mean? In terms of a piece, that I can do, that I've done, that I've toured, and then if other people are taking it on, if it has a run at somewhere massive, then I can feel like, cool, I've done that. That's checked off the list. And I think there's always this idea of goal setting. Not that I have kind of specific goals, but there's things that you want to achieve. And I feel like until I achieve those things, I'm not going to be content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Edinburgh.
Okay.
So you've taken shows to Edinburgh, your own shows. What's that process like? So for people who haven't done it, what's the process of getting to Edinburgh and doing Edinburgh like?
Well, I had never been until last year. Last year's the first time I've even as like just like to visit. I've never been. You hear a lot about the Fringe Festival as somebody in the performing world, like you just know about Edinburgh, and I don't think I ever really thought about what to expect. It's just sort of like you just accept it as a big deal. This is where shows start, this is where things get picked up. You always hear about people starting in Edinburgh, like, oh yeah, we did it in Edinburgh and it got like that's where it started. So I think you have in the back of your head that it's a massive opportunity. It's either you go that way about it, or you just go, no, it's going to be a laugh, we'll go for this amount of time, we'll put this show on, see what happens. And you can do Edinburgh two ways. Like we did the free Fringe, which was where you don't pay for the venue and you take the ticket sales, whereas the other venues what you pay for, and they're like a lot to pay for, and then you've obviously got to make the money back before you take any profit. But the benefit of that obviously is that it's in a popular part of the town, city, whatever it is. So you're more likely to get more people in. So it's quite daunting once you get there, because it's just full of performers and everybody's has the same mindset as you, and everybody's interested, everybody's creating, everybody's performing, and it's just like it's a bit overwhelming, a little bit, but there's also like not like competitive because everybody's so kind of on your same wavelength, but also you do want to be like, yeah, we sold out last night, our show's about this, our show's this, because you are competing against everybody else. Like when you fly around, you literally the street is just full of people handing out their flyers for their own shows, and you want to appreciate them, you want to go and see them, but you also want people to come and see you because you've just been on holiday and you haven't paid your rent yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to make your money, which we didn't. But we had a great time.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think because I do want to go with a show at some point. But there's definitely that thing of it being daunting.
It's cool to say you've been. Like, I don't know if you're the same, but I literally will not wear unless I'm under pressure. I need a deadline. Otherwise I'll just be like, yeah. Like we said, like it's there in the back of your head, but it's not written down. I won't write it down unless I need to. I don't know why. Sometimes the mood just comes over me and I'll write like 16 pages and I'll just get in a real like flow of it. But otherwise I need somebody there going, you need this by 3 o'clock. Yeah,
I do work better if it's for a deadline. I need that thing of going, okay, book it in at this place.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, I need to have this script ready for then to be performed then, because otherwise I'm screwed.
So knowing you've got like Edinburgh booked, and because we'd taken the stages before, that's why we did Liverpool Fringe as well, because it was kind of I guess to workshop it as well and see what works and what didn't. That was a good opportunity to do that, but also to like get the word out there, I guess, and get some reviews, which we did. So we won Best Production at Liverpool, so then we were able to put that on our flyers.
Yeah,
that was a good selling point for us. But because we knew we were doing Edinburgh, we were like, we'll do Liverpool, which meant that we had to have it written like 3 months before so that we could cast it and then rehearse it within enough time. So then that gave us like a deadline of, I think we were done in like March. So from like January to March, we really like focused on it and had deadlines and reviewed it and worked it. But we were changing things on the night.
You always do, don't you?
You finish your script and then someone says something different. You go, oh my god, yeah, change all of it. We cut like scenes after the first show when we got to Edinburgh, which is always a nice little curveball for the actors.
And I think that's one of the difficult things about doing Fringe theatre. You put so much work into doing a show that's only going to have a week run, and then 9 times out of 10 you don't touch it again. And really, that first sort of week of performances is when the show finds its feet. So those first couple of performances, in some ways, are a bit of a write-off because you're still finding out what audience response to.
Exactly, because every show's different. As soon as you get it in front of an audience, there's things that are funny that you didn't know were funny, things that are supposed to be that aren't, things that are shocking that you didn't know were shocking, or like the other way around. So
and there's other stuff that you think is hilarious throughout the rehearsal that never hits with any audience.
Yeah, which is why, to be honest, that what I've taken from Edinburgh more than anything is I've learned so much from performing in front of a small audience that I'd actually workshop any other future production loads before I took it anywhere. I know you're kind of supposed to do that anyway, but I kind of understand now the importance of it just because of that, because things are so different to how you intend them to be sometimes. And one of my main things that I always kind of say with writing and advice to other people is you've got to give the audience what they want. You might, in your head, something might make sense, but if it doesn't make sense to the audience, then it's not going to work. And I'm quite stubborn with things like that, where I'm like, no, this is what it means. But if they don't get it, you've got to change it. You've got to make it appropriate for your audience.
I think with anything I write, I always want to write it with the idea that like my dad or my nan could have come to see it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to them. I think often theatre can have this exclusive feel where the average person can see it and have no idea what's going on. And I think if we want to keep theatre for the people, I think it's important that we make work that people can understand.
Yeah, definitely. Can we put that in the bin? Overcomplicated theatre. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know you were writing a little bit about this, about being sort of a woman in the industry. And I think sometimes I take for granted the kind of position of privilege I'm in just by being a man in the industry. How kind of that's been throughout your career?
To be honest, I hadn't really thought about it until I needed a little deadline for something because I was feeling creative. So I worked on the BBC writers' room and they were doing a competition for a short writing piece, and it had to be, there was no specific like genre or whatever, but you could write literally whatever you wanted as long as it was written by a woman and had 3 characters. I think that's all the requirements were. It had to be by a woman. So I hadn't ever thought, you know, like you've got so many ideas in the back of your head and you just go, I'll do that one, I'll do that one. This one came completely from nowhere just by reading those requirements. And I just thought about like being a woman, what's it like to be a woman in theatre? And then I thought back, and by looking back and piecing together loads of experience, I was like, actually, it has been not like you get through it, but there are unnecessary challenges that I've had to face, or just things that you have to deal with that maybe like a man wouldn't have to. Being one of the main producers of the production company, I was like the port of call for a lot of theatre managers. And so it was me and Josh. So we'd both turn up. Looking back, I had so many experiences where they just completely dismissed me and just aim all the information at Josh. And Josh wouldn't have a clue because I was the one who'd been communicating with them. So I was like, no, I'm the one who needs to know the questions. So they'd literally look in my eyes and then divert all the conversation to Josh. And I don't know if that's what's worse about it. It's that it's so many little things like that where at the time you just go, oh, whatever. But when you put them all together.
Yeah, it's just sort of like subtle things that would sort of wash away unless you actually really looked at them as a whole.
Yeah. So there was another one where he was talking business with Josh, because, you know, business. And then he said something to me and he was like, so are you in the show? I was like, oh, I am in the show as well, yeah. And he went, who do you play? And I went, Tinkerbell. And he went, yeah, I thought so. I was like proper like looked at me. I was like, all right, what does that mean? Just stupidly dismissive. And I was like, oh. So that's what hit hardest the most, that I hadn't even noticed. And it's only when you look back and you think, actually, this is still happening. This goes on all the time.
Yeah, completely. I was doing a tour over Christmas, and I remember one of the girls in the cast was driving the van, and we got to one of the venues, and some like sort of groundsman guy made like a joke about women drivers to her. I feel like people think it's fine, I can say this, they'll take it as a joke, but it's just like, but I feel like stuff like that, there's always a bit of meaning behind it, otherwise they wouldn't say it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Literally today, I was dropping off funeral flowers this morning, and I was crossing the road. I had like a big thing in my hand of flowers, and a stereotypical white van went past and started like beeping and shouting out the window. I was like, really? Still now? And also, what is the correct response to that? What do I do? Hello.
There genuinely isn't one. I find it the most bizarre thing. I always think, what are you hoping to achieve?
What do you want?
Honking, like white van honking at a girl, thinks he's going to turn around and go, hello, sailor.
Hello.
I love a good honk.
Next time it happens, I'm just going to repeat the same as what they do. Ah!
But surely no woman in their right mind likes that. Surely no one could like that. A group of like middle-aged men in a white van honking at you.
I'm going to put the flowers down and be like, yes.
Made my day, fellas.
Can't wait to tell everyone about this.
So you've worked with a few stars in your time. Do you have any Hollywood hogwash for YBC of stars you've worked with? Maybe some of the worst and some of the best?
I don't think I have any worst ones. Everyone's really lovely. I've not worked with that many. There's a couple of little soap stars. But you know who's actually lovely? My favourite really is Stephen Arnold. He's babe. He was actually on Curry. He's really, really lovely. And dead like generous and helpful. Like within the industry, he's like really up for helping you out and giving you advice when you need it. So that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had any experience with any bad ones. Everyone's really nice. That would have been really interesting.
That's what they all
make one
say.
well.
Everyone's so nice.
Everyone's so lovely.
There's definitely some secret scoundrels out there.
I remember one night and I'll have to tell you about it. Everyone's lovely as far as I remember.
I think you need to be consistent in the industry, don't you? Because I think word always gets around, and it's something I always thought about a lot, and something I always tell my students whenever I'm teaching is just don't be a dick. And I think it's such like a basic advice, but it's so true. Because when I was at college or uni studying, if there was someone who was awful to work with, that sticks in your head. And then if you're doing anything in the future and they approach you about it, you just look at it and think, well, why would I work with you? Because you were awful when we were studying together. So why would I want to work with you now? And it's something I think about a lot. And I think it's something everyone needs to know, because regardless of how talented you might think you are, no one wants to work with that kind of ego.
Like I know from being the other side of the audition table, like if you just sense that somebody's not got a good attitude, you're just like, oh God, no. You want your life to be easy. Everybody wants it to be a pleasant experience. So if you come in being all full of yourself, acting like a dick, people don't like it.
Nobody likes it at all.
Good advice, don't be a dick.
What was I going to ask you then? Something was in my mind and now it's just completely gone. Oh yeah, the thing I wanted to ask you, I'll cut all this out so don't worry about that. The thing I wanted to ask you was about your car mishap the other day.
Oh yeah. So we had to postpone, didn't we? Because I was in a road traffic accident that wasn't my fault. Well, it wasn't on a road or in traffic, but it was an accident and it wasn't my fault. Yeah, so as part of the new job, I need to drive a van and I was in a hurry, taking some funeral flowers. I don't even know what happened. I was pulling out of the car parks. I mean, I don't know how quick you can pull out of a car park, but that's what happens anyway. So as I was coming out, there's two big yellow, like kind of metal bollards. I don't know, I'm trying to explain it. I don't really know what happened, but this kind of bollard crept up out of nowhere. And as I went to brake, my foot slipped down a little hole that's in the car underneath the clutch. So I've gone to brake, or the brake, what one's in the middle? Yeah, the brake. So I've gone to brake and my foot slipped down a little hole and got stuck. So next minute I just heard this massive like bang and it's gone into like the side of the car. So I heard that the car was still going and I was still late to drop these funeral flowers off, so I just carried on with my life. And it wasn't until I stopped the car and then went to get out and drop the flowers off that the door wouldn't open because I'd bent it. Because of where the bollard had hit, it bent like just in the corner and all the metal had crushed. So door wouldn't open. So I was just sat outside this poor man's house, like just trying to jolt my way out the car, and I had to slip out of a 10-centimetre gap.
When your foot got stuck in the hole, was there sort of like a pure panic to you when it happened?
There really wasn't time. It would have been a slam on brake and it would have been fine, but because I can't really like where the hole is, the back of my shoe kind of got stuck. So I mean, you kind of still can brake, but your foot's at the wrong angle to what you're used to, so it jolts. So it kind of like jittered and like it was a very loud bang. But I am very shocked at the damage it's caused. It's like I sent you a picture of that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I think the important thing was
I wasn't expecting that.
I think the important thing was that it wasn't your car.
No, it wasn't my
Then we're
car.
okay.
It wasn't on the road.
Delight.
Oh, it could have been, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Then that would have been a real nightmare. Old holy foot. You could have lost a foot.
I know. Yeah, what a life.
This is the life of a working actor.
I know. But do you know what I'm thinking? Do you know what's ridiculous? Every time I get in the car and drop flowers off, I'm like, this is what I was like when I was a waitress. I'd be like, I'm not really a waitress, you know. This is not what I do.
I am an actor, director.
So I'll be dropping off flowers like, thank you. You may see me in a future production of The Florist Uncle.
I don't know if you've seen Hollyoaks, but I know quite a bit.
But yeah, every little job like this, I'm taking as, like my mum says, another chapter to the book.
I just wanted to finish the episode with an unusual story I've found. Have you got your phone by you? So the headline is, pair hired for man's broom sexual fantasy turn up in bedroom at wrong address with machetes. So after appearing in an unsuspecting resident's bedroom with knives at 6:15, The duo accepted their mistake, saying, "Sorry, mate." So this man has a sexual fantasy about being stroked with brooms.
I know, I'm sorry. I know I'm not making noise, but my face is shocked.
Literally.
It's just great for a pun.
Man's being stroked. His fantasy is he wants to be stroked by strangers with brooms. All these people.
People swear slightly.
Yeah, because I feel like brooms would be quite jaggedy. A broom's not quite bristly.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with the scenario, Adam.
In some ways, you could.
I mean, a feather
broom.
duster, sure.
Well, exactly. It's something with a bit of smooth to it. Because surely brooms are like the bristles in a letterbox. You don't want those.
No, we've cancelled them. But okay, so if that's his fantasy, why if he turns up with machetes?
So I've no idea where they're machetes. I think I think it was kind of like maybe it was a kind of.
We haven't got any broom. I haven't got a broom, but will these machetes too?
I think it was kind of a thing of they like to be. He wants like a break-in feel. But what happened is apparently his profile on some sites listed his old address and not his current address. So they've shown up to some other man's house with the brooms. Like, so, should we go get the old brooms from the van? And this guy's been like, what's happening? What are you talking about? And like, you're not Frank? Like, no, that's not me.
I love the idea that they've just gone, I'm so sorry, I've got the wrong address. Come on, Gene.
Get the brooms back in the van. It's the wrong guy.
That's the most ridiculous and terrifying thing I've ever heard.
Ridiculous, completely. And the worst part is it's on Sky News, so it's fully legit. It's not just me being a silly goose. Anywho,
hilarious.
Joe Sherlock, it's been a delight to speak to you as always. Enjoy your weekend. Get the brooms out.
All the machetes.
Get all that business out. So thank you very much. This has been episode 4, I think, of YBC. So it turns out that the man actually wanted a broom handle stroking along his underpants, not the bristly end. Well, I feel like we've all learned something today. If you want to check out Joe's new show, it's called Post Show Blues, and it's the very real account of the day in the life of a performer. Joe Sherlock, thank you very much.
No, thank you.